whenever your thinking matches your environment and your environment continues. As always, you'll keep experiencing the same life to truly change. You must think big. Think beyond your surroundings. Think beyond the circumstances of your life. Think beyond the conditions of your world. Many people who achieved great feats in history knew this in the next few minutes. We'll explore how we can transform both our reality and ourselves through the power of our minds. We'll discover the fascinating connection between epigenetics, neuroscience, and spirituality, demonstrating our immense power of manifestation. We will see how through focused attention and intense emotion, we can materialize our deepest desires, guiding ourselves through synchronicities. We are not just a body living in a material world determined by circumstances and surroundings, living in linear time. In reality, we are pure consciousness, spirit, one with the totality, living in a temporary body through which we find expression in the physical world. Most people spend the majority of their lives using their senses to determine reality, being materialistic in this state. The primitive brain is truly in control, reacting automatically to everything. The creative state, however, is entirely the opposite, when you are in a true state of creation. Something incredible happens. You forget yourself. You become selfless. You become nobody. You become nothing. You become timeless. It's quite intriguing because to experience any transformation in our bodies, change our environment, or enter a new timeline, we need to free ourselves from the influence of our present body, current environment, and limited perception of time. We must transform into that pure consciousness. When crossing the door into the quantum field, we cannot do it as individuals. Instead, we must cross those doors as beings without a defined identity, as indeterminate consciousness. That invisible field of intelligence, whether called spirit quantum field or universal mind, is both personal and universal, existing within you and everywhere. By doing this correctly, you can create new possibilities in the quantum field and recreate a new way of being. You start creating an event in your mind and the frontal brain lights up. Then the volume of time and space begins to decrease. The external world disappears, leaving only a thought as the real thing. When this happens, the brain captures the thought as if you were experiencing it in the present moment. Neurological circuits are modified and the brain changes as if you had already lived the experience before the actual event. The moment we shift from survival to creation, we leave behind our ordinary selves. Hormonal centers deactivate, and energy flows directly to the heart, which with its toroidal electromagnetic force field, radiates emotion to the quantum field. And tunes into it. You start being present, forgetting about the future and the past. That present moment is what we might call the natural state of being. But can you transform your brain by imagining a future in your mind that has not yet happened, simulating the event mentally as if it had already taken place? The latest neuroscience research shows that you can change your brain from living in the past to living in the future. And you can fall in love so much with that vision that your entire organism will feel it as real. You can transform guilt or suffering into inspiration, joy, and gratitude, to the extent that your body and unconscious mind don't distinguish the difference between that external event in the material world and what you're creating internally. Your body believes it is living that future in the present moment, and begins to send signals that create new genes and more alterations, as if you were engaged in the action, as if you were already experiencing it. Recent epigenetic studies confirm what has always been known in Hermetic circles and ancient traditions. You can change your body and alter reality just with thought. So we can reason as follows. If there is physical evidence in your brain and body that the event has already occurred, your brain and body are no longer living in the past. They are living in the future, and the change will manifest in your reality, bringing the future to your present. The challenge is as follows. Teach your body how it will feel emotionally in the future before experiencing it. This means not waiting for wealth to feel abundant or deserving, not waiting for success to feel empowered or grateful, not waiting to feel completely healed from a previous relationship, to feel love again. nor waiting for a mystical experience to feel connected to the divine. That's the old reality model of cause and effect. Waiting for something external to take away the emptiness, pain, or scarcity inside us. The quantum reality model focuses on causing an effect within us before the cause. That means that when you start feeling abundance and value, you generate wealth. When you start feeling empowerment and gratitude, you're one step closer to success. When you start feeling complete, your healing begins. When you love yourself and love life, you will create more of the same in your life. When you feel one with the divine, the mystical experience appears, living the effect inside us first, to create the cause that materializes the effect both inside and outside. Most people have done something great in their lives. One day you woke up or had a wild thought out of nowhere. And that thought was a possibility in the future. Something new you wanted to experience. The moment you started thinking about this experience, the moment you began contemplating this potential reality, you activated a part of your brain called the frontal lobe. This lobe covers 40% of your entire brain. It is the creative center and has connections to all other parts of the brain. The moment you said, "What would it be like to have my own business? What would it be like to succeed? What would it be like for this vision to come true?" When you posed that open question, you activated that part of the brain, and the creative center woke up. The frontal lobe has connections to the entire brain. It is the CEO, the boss, the director of the brain symphony. When you become creative, the frontal lobe begins selecting different networks of neurons stored in your brain from things you've learned or experienced. By starting to think about a what-if question, it begins selecting these different networks and links them smoothly, making your brain fire new sequences and new patterns and combinations. Every time you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind, because the mind is the brain in action. The mind is the brain at work. And the moment those neurons fire in tandem, you get a picture in your mind. A hologram, a vision, an abstraction. By passionately feeling that thought or idea, the creation of a high emotion is triggered. You get inspired experience, enthusiasm, feel fulfilled, connected to the divine and passionate. At that moment, you begin to open your heart spontaneously, merging a clear intention with a high emotion. This combination, backed by ongoing research, shows that the person is experiencing a fundamental change both biologically and internally. Consequently, the brain and body shift from living in the past to living in the future. Living in that crucial moment, you shed your restful state and dive into the action of shaping all the things that will guide you toward that vision. You must detail every choice you will make, every experience or goal you want to achieve, along with all the activities you yearn to perform, plus the emotions and joy you anticipate feeling as you immerse yourself in this process. You focus your attention on that desired destination. Later on, you can specify the choices you consciously avoid, become aware of the behaviors you decided not to have, and meticulously examine the experiences you prefer to evade. Then you identify the emotions that could drag you down, initiating the separation between the old self and the new self. Embarking on this journey and observing the old self makes it clear that you no longer fully identify with the old program. Now you are the consciousness observing the program, and it's at that moment when you begin to objectify your subjective self. Let's reason this. Imagine you have gone through some challenging experiences in your past that made you feel sad, unworthy, guilty, or critical. You've become accustomed to feeling guilty, unworthy, and critical. That just seems normal to you. Then, because you feel a bit victimized, you blame people, complain, make excuses, and pity yourself. That is your personality. And suddenly you decide today, I'm not going to do that anymore, because that is the old self. You start your day and everything goes well for about 2 hours. Suddenly, when you realize you're not making the same decisions as the day before, you will feel uncomfortable. It will be something unknown, uncertain, with some unpredictability. We understand that in general, people tend to cling to their feelings of guilt and unworthiness, rather than venture into the unknown, because at least they experience some familiar emotion. When you decide to stop making the same decisions you used to make in your usual routines, you must be prepared because this change can be uncomfortable. It's at this moment when you embark on building your new self, a process we call entering the river of change. Understanding that crossing that river involves the neurological, biological, chemical, hormonal, and genetic death of the old self, leads you to be comfortable with the unknown. That void becomes the perfect place from which to create in this process of change. You'll find yourself at an unpredictable, uncertain, or unknown point from there. You can decide who you want to be. When you open your eyes, what thoughts to empower and what emotions you want the body to feel before they happen. This should become more familiar as you practice it. Why is it important to practice it often? Because when you finish meditating, you should try to maintain that modified state in mind and body all day. And if you can keep that state of being all day, get ready, because something unexpected will happen. Synchronicities, coincidences, serendipity, and opportunities will begin to present themselves on your path out of nowhere. When synchronicities and serendipity begin, you'll start to believe that more and more things are possible. And the fact that you believe more and more things are possible will make you dream much bigger, so pay attention to what happens around you. It's a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. Extensive research has been conducted. And it is known that by combining a clear intention and intense emotion, the mind and the heart enter a state of coherence. When that more coherent state is achieved, a measurable magnetic field is produced, which begins to connect with the unified field, by connecting to the unified field, and entering into coherence with it. That's when synchronicities appear like a powerful magnet. We begin to attract what we have previously assumed in our imagination. We tune into the frequency of our desires, and seeing them manifested in our reality becomes inevitable. Our being and our reality evolve to the next level. We become creators.